Hey guys, it's Valerie. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hey, what's up? Today's video is going to be talking about every book that I've read so far this year. I realize I have not done any monthly wrap-ups or anything on this channel yet. I will start doing that soon, but I thought I would catch you guys up until then. So yeah, I saw Just Ali, a new booktuber that I recently subscribed to, just do this video like a month ago, and then I saw Sydney do this video. Hey girl, if you're watching this. And I got FOMO. So I'm gonna catch you guys up on every book that I have read so far this year. To think that I was really gonna go downstairs, go through that bookshelf, get every book that I've read this year, go to my room, get every book, go to this bookshelf and get every book. No, I've read 23 books so far this year. I'm not about to go hunt for all 23 books. Well, some of them I read on my Kindle. But yeah, I was really gonna go through and get all the books. I'm just gonna put a picture of them on the screen. So to start off, I started this year, well, I actually was reading this book at the end of last year and then was still reading it going into the new year. And that book was Ruthless Vows. This was the second book in the Divine Rivals duology, and I gave it a 4 stars. I actually did really like how this duology ended. To be so honest with you guys, I don't really remember exactly how everything ended. I'm trying to piece it together right now, but I remember a lot of the story and I really enjoyed it. This was my first kind of like, is it considered a time travel romance? This is just like the first book I've read like this, and I really liked it. Yeah, at the time, that was like one of the first books I've ever read that was kind of that vibe, and I absolutely loved it. Enemies to lovers, there's gods, and it's really good. I loved it. I really can't say too much about it because, like I said, I read this at the end of last year and the beginning of January, so it's been like 5 months, and gone. Okay, now the next one is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. This is the second book in the Blood and Ash series. This series is very near and dear to my heart. I love this series so much. I've never experienced this feeling with reading a series like I did with Blood and Ash, other than like maybe with ACOTAR, but I kind of feel like ACOTAR was a different vibe a little bit, but I don't know. This was the first series that ever gave me the similar vibe that ACOTAR did, and I absolutely devoured it, but I did not finish it. I have not read the last book in the series, the 4th book, because I have only heard bad things. I haven't only heard bad things, but it's mostly just like things. Like people were like, it could have been better. It didn't need to be that long. Like, oh, I wish this was different. Like, not necessarily bad reviews, but not good. So I've been just pushing it off because I don't want like my favorite series to end like that. So I haven't read the last book. Well, technically it's not the last book in the whole series, but I haven't read A Soul of Blood and Ash. So don't come at me for saying it's my favorite series, okay? But anyway, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire was my first 5-star read of the year, and this book was so good. This was one of those books where I like stayed up until 4 a.m. reading and finished it so fast because I could not stop. It was so good. It's a super good fantasy romance. It's amazing world building. It's a great series. I highly recommend, if you are a romantasy lover like I am, this is up there, and I have read so many romantasy books, and this is just like best of the best. I will never not recommend this series. I never stop talking about it on my TikTok. If you came from TikTok, hi, yes, I still talk about it on my YouTube too. So the next read was The Crown of Gilded Bones, which is number 3. That's my review. This was another 5-star. It honestly just felt like the last book just continued. It really just kept going where the other one left off, and it just felt just as good as the book before. It was amazing. I loved every single thing about it. I love the pace of these books. I kind of didn't really like the pace of the first book. I actually gave the first book 4 stars, but the second and third, not the fourth, the second and third book I gave 5 stars because just wow. Wow. I don't even know how to give these books reviews. I even put on Goodreads, my review for the 3rd book is just whoa. So yeah, that should tell you. And then of course the next one is The War of Two Queens. I rated this one 4 stars. I really don't remember how this book ended, so I can't really give you guys a review on it, but I remember it being really good and wanting to continue the series really bad and immediately going to get the next book, but then finding out what the next book is about and how it's written, and I wasn't a fan, so I haven't read it yet, but I will. My library has it and I've already rented it out once and haven't read it yet still and had to return it, but I'm gonna get it again when I'm ready. All right, the next one. This book ripped my heart out, shoved it back in my chest, stitched it back up, left it there for a few days to heal, and then ripped it out again. That's how this book made me feel. Five stars though. Next, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you now that I read Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Air of Fire, Queen of Shadows, and then I stopped. I read them in that order, so there's no books in between that I am missing. So yeah, the next 4 books were the Throne of Glass books, and then I jumped into Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. I started the tandem read and got about halfway through and then paused. Now, please nobody come at me. I only paused because honestly I was getting a little bit bored, and I think it's because of Tower of Dawn. I find that book, like at least just the story of what the book is about, a little bit slow and a little bit boring compared to Empire of Storms. And I remember when I was reading the tandem read, like right before I put a pause on it, I had just bought so many other fantasy books that I really wanted to read. And so I could not stop thinking about those books while I was reading Throne of Glass. And I was like, okay, you know what? I can't even focus because I'm thinking about these other books. I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna go read these other books. So that's exactly what I did, and I've just been continuing to do that ever since. I have not finished the tandem read. I plan to. I definitely want to know how the series ends. I definitely am not going to be wasting all of the time that I put into reading those books to just not finish the series. Absolutely not. But I just am not ready yet. I'm not in the mood. I am a huge mood reader. I need to be in the mood. But anyway, a quick little rundown of what I rated them. I gave Throne of Glass 3.5 stars. I just felt like Throne of Glass, the first book, I mean, a lot of first books in series are like this because it's just an introduction to the series, kind of getting like you used to the characters and the world, whatever. So I get that, but I gave it like a 3.75, whatever. Crown of Midnight, I gave a 4.25. I said it was the best one I've read in the series so far, and I still stand by that. That and Assassin's Blade. Air of Fire, I gave 3.5. I said I loved the story, but it just felt like it was dragged on way longer than it needed to be. I felt like so much more happened in Crown of Midnight, and it was even shorter. Yeah, true. I remember that. Then Queen of Shadows, I feel like the series could end right here, question mark? Like that was a happy, solid ending with no cliffhanger. Curious to see what happens next. And then that's it. So yeah, I don't want to, there's really not much I can say about these books without spoiling anything. If you know, you know. But yeah, I really just need like that extra push. I need that inspiration to want to continue the tandem read. I feel like I stopped at a point in the books where something maybe is like about to happen that makes it not so boring, maybe? I don't know. Let me know. I'm on page like 250, I think, in like Tower of Dawn, which means I'm like around the same in Empire of Storms. So if you can convince me, please do it. Okay, next book is One Dark Window. This is the first book in the Shepherd King duology. This is my favorite duology I've ever read. Not that I've read that many, but I think this is going to stay my favorite duology. This series was amazing. I love the whole vibe. This is a fantasy romance. I loved the whole like dark gothic vibe of the books. I loved the main characters. I love Raven Yu. I love him so much. This book was amazing. If you love fantasy romance and you love like a more kind of darker gothic just vibe aesthetic, then this is perfect. And don't even get me started on the second book because we're not there yet. Okay, next I actually got into the Mindfuck series. I read the first and the second one, The Risk and Sidetracked. I gave both of them 4 stars. I thought they were really good. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, constantly being like, literally what the hell? The series is called exactly what it is. It's a great name for it. And I'm really excited to continue the series. I just haven't really had the chance to. Next is Red Rising. I gave Red Rising 3 stars. I just felt like it wasn't as good as I was hoping it to be. I think Book Talk just overhyped it for me, and I just put my expectations way too high. So that's on me, but it just felt very slow. I enjoyed it overall. This is a more dystopian sci-fi fantasy book. There's kind of some romance in it. I know that there's like gonna be more as you go on. I've only read the first book, but I am actually still planning on continuing the series because I did enjoy it enough to want to know what happens next. I don't know if I'm going to read the whole series, we'll see. But I have heard from a friend on TikTok that the second and third books, like, they just get better as you go on. As long as you get through the first one and you at least want to know like what happens next, then hold on and keep reading because it gets better. That's what I've heard. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, the next one I read is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is another fantasy romance. Now, I loved this book. It was really cute, but my only thing was that there was nothing really that stood out about it for me. Like, I read this book in the middle of March, and it's only the beginning of May, almost the middle of May, and I don't remember that book at all. You guys, I remember the two main characters' names. I remember that it's basically like the Hunger Games. I remember that, like, I remember the plot, but I don't remember like how the characters even met or how the book even ends. Like, I don't remember at all. That doesn't mean that it wasn't good. It's just nothing just stood out to me enough compared to like the other books that I've read so far this year. But I did purchase Powerful literally today, so I am going to be giving myself a little bit of a refresher. I don't know if I'm gonna reread Powerless or if I'm just gonna watch like a recap. I haven't decided yet, but I remember really enjoying it still. Like, I remember thinking it was really cute, and I loved the MMC. I loved him so much. I remember that. And I just loved them together. So yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about it. It just, nothing was super special about it that stood out to me. Now the next book, The Cruel Prince. Oh my gosh, The Cruel Prince by Holly Black is one of the best books I've ever read. I love this book. This book was so cute. I love the aesthetic. It's another romantasy. Heads up, pretty much all these are romantasies, I think. Yeah, pretty much, almost. I gave this one a 4.75. The only reason I didn't give it a 5 stars is because I knew how it was gonna end. It was very predictable. But this was so good. The slow burn in this was perfect. I have never hated an MMC in an enemies to lovers story so much before, which is why I just know it's only going to get better from here. I could not stand Carden at first, and now after finishing this book, he is really growing on me, and I can't wait to see where the story goes from here. Would be a full 5 stars if the ending wasn't so predictable, but still so good. If you love fantasy romance, read that book, please, and then come back and let's talk about it. Okay, the next read was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Now, I love this book. I thought it was so fun and witty, and I've never read anything like it. It was a romantasy, but another like kind of gothic version of a romantasy, but it was like cute and funny at the same time. Like, I loved the main character's humor. I just loved the writing. It was so easy to get through. I read it in one day. It was just so cute. I highly recommend if you are into werewolves, vampires, funny banter, funny romance. Like, it's so cute. I loved it. I will be rereading it again during Halloween time because it was just that fun, and I loved the vibes, and it screamed Halloween vibes, so I will be rereading it. Okay, the next book is Two Twisted Crowns, which is the second book in the Shepherd King duology. Now this book, you guys, 5 stars hands down. One of the best books I've ever read. This book is the second book that's ever made me cry. The first book that's ever made me cry was The Assassin's Blade. I don't want to talk about it, but this book was so beautifully written, and wow. Okay, let me just read you guys what I wrote. This book purposely took me a little longer than usual to finish simply because I didn't want it to end. The story was just so well written and so enticing. I loved the entire concept following Raven and Elspeth's journey. It was such a fun ride that I never wanted to end. This is also one of the only books that has ever made me cry, so that shows you how emotionally invested I am in this book. I will be talking about this duology nonstop. Thank you, Rachel, for this masterpiece. I have never left a review like that. So yeah, if you haven't read the Shepherd King duology and you are into fantasy romance, what are you doing? Move it up on your TBR. Okay, next, this is so exciting. I read my first thriller. I read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I absolutely devoured this book, you guys. This book was so good. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It's another one of those kind of twisty books where you don't really expect what's gonna happen to happen, but like kind of, but it takes a little twist. I don't really know how to explain it. If you read the book, I guess you kind of know what I'm talking about. And the ending of the book, you guys, I was reading this book while sitting on the floor of my living room because I was sitting by the fireplace, and I just literally for like 2 minutes I just like stared at the wall. I like, what? I loved this book. Books that do that to me, books that literally make me stare at a wall for a good minute or two after I finish it, those are my type of books. That was an amazing start to thrillers for me, and I immediately bought the second book. I haven't read it yet, but I will be very soon. And then I bought like 2 other books by her, so I devoured it. Like I said, if you haven't read this one and you like thrillers, then please go read it. It was such a good read. It's so easily digestible and just wow, phenomenal. Okay, the next read was my book club read. It was Lightlark by Alex Astor. Alex Astor actually commented on one of my TikToks and I about had a heart attack. Anyway, Lightlark was really good. I gave it like a 3.75. I just felt like it was kind of slow. I didn't really care about the world building. Like, I didn't really like the world that much at first. There wasn't really interesting aspects to it for me. But then as the book like went on, it started to get more interesting. I would say the last like 20% of the book is when I was like, oh, okay. And then I jumped right into Nightbane. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.75, like I said. I really have nothing else to say about it. Okay, the next book I read was The Inmate by Frida McFadden. Now, I bought this, like I said, immediately after I read The Housemaid. I gave this one a 4 stars. Now, I liked this one, but this one I just felt like didn't have as much going on. It all like pretty much took place in the same setting. There's really only like 2 main characters. It just revolves around, it's just too, I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say. It's kind of slow. I don't know. It was a really good, simple, short thriller. It was kind of predictable a little bit, sorta, but it was still really good. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Okay, next is Nightbane. Now, I loved this book. I gave it a 4.5. This book was so much better than Lightlark. Please, I'm telling you, if you have thought about reading Lightlark, read it just so that you can read Nightbane, because Nightbane was so good and I need the next book now because what? I love Grimm. So this is a fantasy romance again. It's a love triangle trope. It's so good. I love the magic in this book. I didn't really care for it at first, like I said in Lightlark, but the second book does a really good job at, I don't know, making you more interested in the world and the characters and all that. So yeah, Alex Astor did a great job at just really sucking me into this series because now I'm obsessed with it. At first I was like, and now I'm like, give me more. The next book is Caraval. I have had this on my TBR for so long and I am so happy that I finally picked it up because it was so good. I don't know why, like on Book Talk, it's very controversial. People either really liked it or hated it and thought it sucked. I haven't really seen anyone be like in between, but I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a really cool concept. It's basically like this carnival that you get to participate in, and some people believe it is real magic, but it's not, or is it? I don't know. But it's like a carnival that goes on and you have to be invited to it, and the main character gets invited to it and all this stuff happens, and it's just so good. It's so twisty. I listened to this on audiobook mostly, like 85% of it, and I was just driving around in my car listening to it. Every like 5 minutes what? Like, it was so good. It was so good. I highly recommend this if you love a good fantasy romance that's very like twisty. It was so good. I loved it. All right, and last but not least is The Silent Patient. Now this book is a thriller. I absolutely devoured it. I thought it was so good. I listened to it mostly on audiobook as well, and I finished it in like a day. Yeah, I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. I went into it knowing that there was going to be a huge plot twist at the end, and so I honestly kind of was trying to figure out what it was gonna be the whole time while reading it, and I kind of figured it out, but not fully. So when the plot twist did happen, I was still so shocked and like, what? Not as much as I was with The Housemaid. It did still make me like, oh my god. It was really good. I really did enjoy it, and I really did like Alex's writing. I actually have had a book by him called The Maidens in my list for forever, and now after reading Silent Patient, I definitely want to read that even sooner. Like, that was bumped up on my TBR because I loved his writing. I thought this book was really good, and I want to read more by him. So that was every single book that I've read so far this year. I have been having a really good reading year so far, and I'm so excited to see how the rest of this year goes because I make a TBR for like every month, but I normally don't end up following it. I kind of am a mood reader, so I just go off and pick whatever I'm in the mood for. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the rest of the year has in store for me, and I will keep you guys updated. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video.